Hey guys, Spencer Parker here. And many of you have asked what it's like buying Opal direct from Australia. So I wanted to do this video for you so you understand the process and how the Opals actually arrive, and give you an example of a package that I've just received today from one of the great sellers over there, Shane Channing. So this video is going to sort of explain the process, what happened, what we went through, what to expect, how long it takes, and a little bit of an unboxing video to show you, what I got in this order as well, how it's wrapped and how it's sent, etc. So there are a lot of Opal auctions, mainly through Facebook, that you can go on and you can buy very simply, rough Opal, rubs, fully polished gemstones direct from sellers in Australia. Very simple to do. It's all done in Australian dollars, so do check. There's a couple that still use US dollars, but it's mainly Australian dollars with a great exchange rate between the pound and the Australian dollar right now as well. It's almost 2 to 1. And you can pick up some absolutely amazing bargains within these auctions as well. So about 2 weeks ago now, I've done a number of auctions with Shane and won quite a number of parcels. Paid a great price for these Opals. Absolute bargain, some of these things. I felt like I was stealing some of his stuff at the price that I paid. And the boxes arrived today. So it's taken approximately just under, I think this has taken 13 days to arrive. Now, the reality in this post was that actually it arrived in the UK a week ago. So it took a shorter time to actually come from Australia to the UK than it did to come from the UK customs to my house. And just expect this. This is very, very common, unless it's a small parcel that you're getting from Australia that sails through customs and is going to be with you next day because there's no customs charges. Then expect about 2 weeks. That's been my experience now with all the buying that I've done. 2 weeks door to door. Anything shorter than that's great. And not all parcels get stopped by customs. It does seem to be that anything under around £50 just sails through. And by the way, there are no customs duties that you have to pay on these imports. It is purely VAT. So 20% of the parcel value you should expect to pay on import. Factor that into the price that you're paying on the auctions, it's still really cheap, even when you put that extra 20% on. So, just expect it. And then, if it sails through customs, like about 50% of my packages have, and they haven't been stopped and I haven't had to pay customs charges on, great. That's a win. You've got them even cheaper then. But do expect the customs. That's where things do tend to slow down. If it's with the Royal Mail, so the package size is usually under 1.5 kilos. It will come through Royal Mail rather than Parcel Force. Then that price that you're going to have to pay is £8 plus the VAT. They do charge you for this. Parcel Force charge you £12, but that's typically the larger one. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. And the VAT, of course. With Royal Mail, typically what happens, it gets to the local delivery office, and then the postie will come out the next morning with a card. You pay online and they will then deliver it the following day after that. So it's about a 3-day turnaround. Again, you can go to your local delivery office as soon as that thing gets to the delivery office. Even if you don't have the card, you just say your address and they'll go and find it. They'll tell you how much you have to pay and you can pay with your credit card just there and then. Very simple to do. Parcel Force, a little bit more difficult. So Parcel Force insist on sending you a letter with a unique 16-digit code to let you know what you've got to pay, and then you pay it online and then it delivers the next day. Now that takes a bit of time. In the case of this parcel, it cleared customs Monday morning to Parcel Force. The letter arrived on Thursday and it was delivered on a Friday. So, it's a bit frustrating. You think in this day and age, with the tracking, you could just see the customs charge, pay it and get it next day. It would be so much easier. Some of these systems aren't quite yet, been dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century, unfortunately. So the package has arrived today. This is the package here that Shane has so kindly sent me. All I've done so far with it is just literally opened it. There's a lot of sellotape on this one to make sure it didn't open. This is quite a hefty 2 kilo box, so full of a lot of goodies in this one. So I'll sort of show you, typically comes the Australian Post, which is what most of them use. They have these set boxes. So it's a size and a weight thing when ordering. So as long as it's under 2 kilos and it can fit in this box, there is a certain price to that. And you'll find, within $1 or $2, all of the sellers in Australia use this system. If you get more than 2 kilos, then it gets into a whole different ballgame. You can't use Australia Post anymore. You're probably using DHL Express, and they're considerably more expensive. So what I suggest to people, it often actually works out cheaper to then have multiple packages that come through Australia Post. So if you go into 3 kilos, a 2 kilo and a 1 kilo is way cheaper than the quotes we were getting for 3 kilos for DHL Express for the same thing. So that is definitely a good suggestion there. So this is the box. Nice good hefty weight to it, being about 4 grams under 2 kilos. So just scraped it on this one. Packaging is excellent. So, if you open these things up, there is an absolute ton of bubble wrap, that Shane puts in here. This is not just Shane, I think they've all learnt from mistakes in their time about things getting damaged in the post, etc. So they are very, very well packed. So we've got a lot of stuff in here, basically. And this, in the case of this one, this is different parcels that were won during the auction have been wrapped up. Each parcel is in its own individual bag. Some of the bags are double bagged as well. So for instance, if you were bidding on a Boulder Opal little parcel and a bit of Minterby gets thrown in, typically that will be in a separate bag within the Boulder bag. So it's still one parcel, but they'll keep the different types of Opal separate as well. They come in these, what quite frankly look like kilos of cocaine bags, that come through here. So we're going to sort of take a look inside these in a minute. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 parcels. Not all the same size. I mean, some of the orders may have been one small gemstone. Very, very well packed, as you can see here. Those cut stones have to be protected. So, you do get lots of little ones as well as some of those bigger ones, especially obviously the Boulder Opal parcels. There are some parcels I won here that were 400 or 500 grams. So, they're pretty hefty bags. So what we'll do for this video, we're going to now switch across to a different camera. And I'm going to take apart these bags, put them into water. These are non-hydrovane Opal from Australia. This is the really good quality stuff. And of course, in water is where you're going to see it best when it's wet. So we're going to switch cameras now, and we're going to go through each one of these bags and see what goodies have arrived from Shane. Thanks, everyone. Hey guys, so now for the unwrapping of the parcels. There's actually 10 parcels in total. This is going to be the first one that we look at here. It's very well wrapped. It may take me several minutes, so expect to cut here whilst I get the scissors in and get the bubble wrap off. And then we'll get the stones into the water and take a look at what we've got in this first parcel. Mentioned all of these parcels came from Shane Channing at Wholesale Boulder Opal Direct. You'll find them on Facebook. Shane runs 2 to 3 auctions a week as well. So not only can you buy direct from him, but you can also participate in the auctions and get some absolutely great bargains. Right, I've got the paper off. Let's get into the Ziploc bag. Oh, there's a lot of stones in here. Let's start getting them in. So let's see that this first one here, this is pretty much all Boulder Opal, I think. I mean, you'll find from these unwrappings that most of what I buy is Boulder Opal. It's what I deal with. It's what I love, shaping and bringing out the beauty of these rocks. Every one is so unique. And Shane's one of the best suppliers of this material. There'll be a lot of rustling, as you can probably hear in the background here. So I'm getting out all of the different rocks and putting them into the water. If we run out of space in here, in this full parcel, then we'll go through these and load it back up again. Obviously we wet the stones to see them at their best. As you work with the stones and polish them up, they no longer obviously need to be wet. And you're pretty much getting them to the same sort of coloration that you get from the opal once are wet now in rough. When you polish them up, you'll see that without needing to get them wet at all. Well, I'm still only halfway through this parcel, and it looks like we're running out of room, so let's stop on the parcel there, and let's just take a little look at what we've got here. So you can see here, it's a typical Boulder opal here with some beautiful patterns in it. This all comes from Queensland in Australia. You see some flashes of blue here. You have to look really, really closely at some of the dark manganese lines here as well. You'll see a lot more sort of colour coming through here. And this is where cabbing wheels aren't always the best things to deal with Boulder opal. They're great for sort of getting the shapes rough and things like that, but sometimes you've got to use a Dremel. You have to sort of come down onto these extra bits of colour. They're often, these lines are not flat, so cabbing wheels are not great for that. But Dremel with a sintered drill bit, sort of grinding bit on the end is typically what we use here. So some lovely patterns in that piece. Here again, some more Boulder opal here. Got some nice colour in that. Got a lovely pendant. Look at the patterns in that. Absolutely gorgeous. Getting some gold flash here, green flashes in there. The other thing you'll notice with opal is that camera phones, which is what I'm using here, I'm using an iPhone to take this video. It's never as good as what you're seeing with your own eyes. A lot of the colours that you see here are amazing, but there's more. The camera just doesn't pick them up sometimes. If you're into photography, especially sort of opal photography, I found that using a circular polarizing filter is the way to go to get some of the best colour into those pictures. Lovely colour in there. Look at that. Gorgeous blue crystal. And you can sort of see here how, as the inland sea in Australia, sort of evaporated and the water went down into the rocks here and formed these, and deposited its silica, which is what opal is mainly part of. That is, you can literally see with all of these runs, where the water flowed and then left the silica there. Gorgeous, gorgeous colours. You get the dark red ironstone here. Very sort of typical sort of Koroit patterns in here for Koroit Boulder opal. Some lovely stuff there. But like a lot of rough, sometimes you've got to go digging. The colours there to be had. There's again a beautiful colour bar along here. It's not really showing up so well in the video here, but it's absolutely gorgeous. But spend a little bit of time with the Dremel to expose that and get it at its best. Some more gorgeous patterns there. What's here? Flashes of green in there. All sorts of interesting stuff there to cut into some beautiful pendants. And more Koroit. Again, It's always, you know, these darker bars, they're usually manganese bars in here. These are always the place to go looking for that colour. You know, you're going to find a lot of it in there. So when you're cutting this type of rock, you know, you're coming down from the top here onto those bars. As I say, cabbing wheels, as great as they are for Boulder, it's not always the best thing to do to actually expose the colour. Obviously, once you've got your cuts done and your pendants, you know, already in the colour exposed, then you know, it's great to use them to do the vast amount of work on the polishing side of things. But say Dremels are your friend with Boulder. Some lovely patterns on that. Absolutely gorgeous. There's so many different ways you could come down on that slab. It's decent size, about 1 centimetre thick there. It's probably about 7 centimetres long, that piece. So you can sort of start to slice down and just create some nice pendants. You can even take that face, for instance. You might have a look there, again looking whether the opal is running. You know, maybe I want to sort of come down and open up one of the faces here. A lot of different choices with this rock, and that's the beauty. I mean, every piece is different, and every different cutter is going to cut it differently as well. I mean, there are some stones that are just so obvious in their cuts, but other stones speak to the cutter in different ways. So a lovely bit of pipe coming down through that. Blues on that side, real bit of chunk there. So a lot of exploration to be done in that piece to really expose. I mean, you sort of come on over the top there and expose that blue. You know, it does run right the way through and goes into this lighter colour opal here. Again, this sort of opal typically has, you know, really intricate patterning of colours once you expose it. So coming across the top, taking this top off, exposing that layer of opal there is probably the way I'd go with that. And then you sort of say, well, yeah, that's your flat, and then you trim saw off at the bottom there. And then at the bottom piece, you know, there might not be so much colour, but you can still extract a lovely pendant from it, you know, from the stone. Some good ideas often with some of this stuff is to match two pieces from the same stone as a sort of his and hers pendant. They go really well, sell really well as well. So that's all of the stuff that was in that. We're going to go back, as I say, we're still in that first bag, and we're going to start putting in some more. Starting to get quite a few pieces in these bags. Each one of these bags typically would have been a single parcel at the auction for the one. You know, the costs obviously vary greatly you know, on these parcels depending on the quality, the amount of opal, the patterning. You know, sometimes you know these auctions, you know, there's no reserve price, so you sort of start at $20 and can go upwards for, you know, one or more pieces here. If they're the higher quality stuff, there usually is a bit of a reserve on them, although often that reserve is not that high, especially, you know, pound against the Australian dollar right now. So even with those higher prices and the start reserves, they still feel like an absolute bargain. Right, there's the last bag from that first parcel going in. Everything I'm showing you here now, none of this is, you know, really high grade, or what you could also call ultimate Boulder. We'll get to some of that later. But it's all beautiful pieces of rock. Again, see here, got some colour bar there within the rock there. Definitely just sort of around that edge there. Good place to start exploring this one. There's quite a few different locations that have Boulder opal now. You've got Opalton, you've got Yower, various places in Queensland that have this type of boulder. So Yower nuts, you know, again, if you've ever watched the Outback Opal Hunters, you'll be familiar with that term. Sort of pipe going through there. It comes out the other side, but good for another exploration there. Yes, and you've got Koroit Boulder Opal, you've got Matrix Boulder Opal, Bubble, Opalton. You know, there's all sorts of different types here. The majority of this stuff here is a Koroit. Ooh, says he dropping the stone. They're very, very hard. So lots and lots of interesting things in this one. You can see pipe there, you've got various different patterns there. Again, it's just about learning the rocks. You know, the rocks will speak to you as you do more cutting. There's some lovely sort of gold, opal in there as well. These rocks speak to you, and they tell you where they want to be cut, how to expose that beauty in them. The more and more practice you have, you know, the better you'll get at it. Again, you know, what I certainly, if you're embarking on this journey the first time, you know, maybe like me, you got into this through watching way too much Outback Opal Hunters. You know, speak to people like Shane. They're able to get you some very cheap, sort of almost like practice boulder. Might not have much opal in it, but there is some sort of, you know, able to get some fairly cheap opal rough that you'll be able to practice on, get used to your cutting. You don't need a huge amount, to be honest with you, to start this journey. A Dremel is perfectly good. It just takes a lot longer. I have a Cap King for my wheels, and a Dremel as well. That allows me to sort of get the best of both worlds. The Cap King also comes with a trim saw, which when dealing with boulder is really, really, really useful. Again, you can use cutting discs with the Dremel. Boulder can be quite messy, and that's an understatement. You know, if you spend a day cutting boulder opal, you've got the best fake tan in the world. All this brown comes off all over you. So it's always a better way if you can use you know, certain better tools like the trim saws and things like that to minimize the amount of actual rubbish this stuff can throw up as they're cutting. Beautiful patterns on that. Real sort of pinky colour stone here as well. Really sort of interesting the ironstone here. Lovely patterning. Look at that. Again, you know, there might be more slightly lower down in here. Maybe good idea to maybe take the top off this and have a little look and explore and see, you know, is there more colour further down? Sometimes to do that though, better to come down from the top up here. You know, you've already got a face here. You've got something that looks beautiful. Might not be as colourful as you might like, but the beauty's already there. So to come down from this side and you find nothing and lose the pattern, you've lost your stone. As you come down from the top here, you know, it's still quite thick. You know, the thickest point there, that's, you know, 1.5 centimetres. You can come down, you know, quite a way and start to see, is that pattern there? Is there more colour there? And that would form the back of your stone anyway. So really important just to read the stones. They will tell you how to cut them after a while. So on here, you know, again, some of the interesting the different weights of the stones. This stone is really heavy. This one weighs probably twice as much as the previous stone. So it's, you know, come from different pieces of rock and things like that, but tons of colour in this one. Lovely piece. Now this is getting up to much higher grade boulder opal in this one. See the amount of colour that is in here, you know, dictates the grade along with the patterning as well. You know, you can have a lot of colour and no pattern, but you can also have a lot of pattern with no colour, and there's still beauty in those stones and still value in those stones. But obviously the combination of the two is really what brings boulder opal out. almost at the end of this parcel now. Just a few more to go. Again, nice colour bar along there. Take that top off. A good investigation of it. See where you go with it. Interesting sort of little slab here. Again, there's colour all through this top band in here. Getting flashes all over it. Blues, golds, greens. So you've got some very interesting colours to investigate. Come down on the top here, pretty much with the Dremel to do that, to try and expose some of these bars of Opal. In Boulder, these bars can be unbelievably thin, so you've got to be very careful. Don't go too far too quickly, and try and expose the beauty there of it. The rest of it here is this is like a sort of sandstone matrix. It's really hard though. It's polishable. Sometimes you get these stones as well that they'll have thousands and thousands of little tiny bits of pinfire of opal in it, and that stuff, you know, you can, you know, with the sandstone matrix, treat it to darken it and bring out some of that colour. But on the whole, it's not something you really need to do with Boulder. But it's typically more things like Andamuka matrix and things like that. And another good chunk here, very heavy, hard chunk, beautiful lines going through it. Got some blue flash opal at the top here. Some of the bars here. Really nice. So that's the first package. I'm going to pause the video now and get the next one ready. Okay, so this is now parcel number 2 that came. This is actually one of the really small ones in here. I'll start to cut it now, but it just, yeah, about 4 centimetres across, so probably only one stone in here. Let's take a look and see what we find. So, a little bag. Let's see what we have in here. A piece of treated Andamuka matrix. So get some light on it here. Look at that. That is stunning. So it has, I think, if I get this right, I may be wrong here, camouflaged moss pattern. Look at the colours in that beautiful piece. Now you'll notice this is very thin. So you're not really going to cut much of a stone really out of this. This material is used for what we call doublets. So you can basically polish that top. You can, you know, flatten and polish the bottom off. You get a very thin, probably less than 2 millimeter slice here. And then you're going to basically put that onto maybe a piece of Boulder opal or something like that as a backing. The darkness of the backing will bring out the colours here as well, and you'll use that for what we call doublet material. And you can also use it for things like inlay rings, things like that. That's a beautiful, beautiful little piece of Andamuka matrix there, full colour, right the way across it. Beautiful patterning. This, of course, is treated, so it's been put through. Some people use a sort of sugar-based solution. Doesn't get totally dark with that, but this one you see is not totally dark, so it may have had that. You can also start to get to more dangerous sulfuric acid and baths and things like that to really darken this type of material, but it is extremely beautiful. So that's the second parcel. All right, so we're going to go into parcel 3. This is another small piece. There's a small pack. This actually has 2 stones in it. This one. These are Mintaby. It's another area of opal mining. This type of stone, notice it has this sort of very distinctive sandstone in it. And you can see you've got a bar here of opal running through that. get some additional light on that bar. If it doesn't blow out the camera here. So sort of very light blue, got some specks of green in there as well. So this again, you expose top surface here, take off that sandstone. You use the sandstone here for some backing for it as well. And there is some other opal, another band there as well. So could be some interesting stuff in there. So that's that stone. Another piece of mintaby. Again, a band there. Just take that top off. See what you've got. Very stable opal, very hard opal. But the sandstone here, it's not soft. I mean, it's even polishable, this stuff, but it's yeah, it will come off very easily, cuts really nicely. So that's parcel number 3. Okay guys, let's have a look at parcel number 4. This is okay, let's see what we've got. A thin piece of material here. Again, this is treated Andamuka matrix here. Look at that. Again with that moss pattern. Again, see, very thin piece of material here, maybe 2 mil thick. Again, great for doublet material and inlay material for rings. Some beautiful patterns there, blues and greens. Lovely, lovely little parcel that. Okay, we're into parcel number 5 now. This looks like it's going to be, here's some more Boulder opal. So let's see what we've got in here. Get this all into the water. So a number of bags here. Very good chunky pieces in here. So, 3 big pieces to take a look at here. So let's have a little look, get it nice and wet, see what we've got here. Okay, you see lots of colour in here. Blues, greens. A little bit of colour up here as well. In this case, of just exploring these stones. You know, if there's colour there, the question is there colour under there? And how much of it is there? And sometimes you have to take a little bit of risks. You can see here there is, all around here, there's opal. Do we come down from the top here? Get to focus, see there the opal. Come down from the top there with the Dremel and just see if we can expose that layer. Now, how big is that layer now? When you come around to this side, you realise that that layer is actually not big at all. You can see it actually sort of runs around and then runs up there. So probably not going to give you much of colour if you come at it from this side. So you may decide to, cut some pendant type shapes out of here. You've got both lovely pattern and colour. So you can generate some really nice pendants there. I mean, these are big chunks. I mean, 1.5 centimetres thick, 6 centimetres across. These have basically come straight off Shane's slabbing saw. Just big chunks. And this is part of the fun of the auctions. You don't know what you're going to get with some of this stuff. You can see this rock. See, look, some lovely colour in there. But you don't know until you actually get it in your hands and get into it what you're going to get. Some Boulder opal you won't get much, but some, you'll pick up cheap and suddenly find, wow, there's so much colour. It just wasn't exposed at that sort of slab saw layer where it's been cut through. So, at worst, you're going to create beautiful stone pendants with beautiful patterns. But at best, you're going to get some really high quality, high grade Boulder opal jewellery. This stuff is beautiful, that combination of colour and pattern. In here it's highly sought after. There's tons of colour in there. All these different layers, exposing different colours. The question is, which way to face. Is it better to expose some colours that way? Is it better to do it that way? You've got to read that rock well. This with the slab saw sort of polished it almost in a way. You can sort of start to see what you're going to get. But as you polish, more and more of this stuff is going to come out as well. 3 beautiful rocks there. So let's go on to the next parcel. Okay, next parcel. So this one, not quite sure what's in here yet. Quite a few bags. Have to see what we get. So, when you're buying opal, especially Boulder opal, there's really sort of 3 types you buy. You are buying rough, like the big chunks that you've seen. You can also, sort of next step up is the supplier will create what are called rubs. This means that, actually quite a bit of the work is done on those stones. The shape's been cut out as best as they can. Doesn't mean you have to stay with that shape, by the way. You can continue to cut yourself and do more with it. So you've got your rubs, and then you've got the actual finished polished stones as well. So what I'm putting in here actually is a number of rubs that have been done. These as we go through it. So actually, there's some mint to be in here as well. We'll put that in as well because it all came in the same bag. We'll look at the Boulder first. We'll look at the mint to be in. I think actually there's some. Actually, I think it is meant to be. We'll look at this. Give a second. Okay, so let's look at some of these rubs. So again, Shane's done here is taking a look at that piece of Boulder and just sort of worked with it to expose as much colour as possible and started to shape it here into a fairly rectangular pendant. These sort of freeform rubs, actually, my opinion, and everybody has a different opinion on this, I love the sort of the non-uniformity of the shape. That's not, somebody hasn't just stenciled a square rectangular on the back and just cut it. The rock has sort of dictated a little bit about what that final shape is going to be. Again, setting this bezel strip, round it in silver or gold. You can wire wrap. Personally, not a huge fan of wire wrapping Boulder opal. It often covers some of the really interesting bits you want to see. So really like bezel wrapping, but wire wrapping, not a big fan of. Although a lot of people are great at wire wrapping and probably could do a great job. I certainly can't. So we'll go through some of these little rubs here. You can see here, that this could have just been at the side there. Literally seen a little flecks of colour and gone, right, I'm going to come down on the top of that, and that's how it exposes in there. Beautiful colours in it. Same again with this one. Again, probably would have seen just little flecks of colour along a bar. Then expose that, dremel that down, and that's ready for its final shaping and polishing. Again, starting out, you're wanting to make Boulder opal jewellery. Starting with the rubs is actually quite a good way of doing it. Somebody's done the hard work of finding the opal for you here and exposing quite a lot of it. You can finish it off, learn how to finish and polish these things, and it's less risky. I mean, these aren't a lot more expensive than buying the big chunks of Boulder, but now you've got something there, and you just need to finish it. And then you can learn a lot from looking at the rubs that Shane does here, for instance. might have just been a little bit on the side here. It's managed to expose a lot, and you know, you can then sort of teach yourself and try and replicate, you know, these techniques. Definitely don't learn on very, very expensive high-grade boulder, because you will, to start off with, waste a fair amount of that opal, and you don't want to do that. Oh yes, we've got, look at that one. That's beautiful. It's like a really old map of the Great Barrier Reef or something like that, or the Caribbean. You know, you've got that sort of azure blue sea. It looks like little islands in it of the boulder that's gone through it. Beautiful. That stone's just over 1 centimetre in size, but they create a beautiful little pendant. You could reshape that a little bit more, you know, if you really wanted to, and maybe create a ring stone out of it. But I think that's a beautiful pendant. It just needs a little bit of finishing on it. Again, some more rubs here. These are fairly small. You can see from the size of it in my hand here. Try and get closer to it. See if the phone actually wants to switch to its macro lens now. Again, you can start seeing in here lovely green flashes. Again, beautiful blues will flash across there. You can just pick that up there. Lovely. Tiny piece. Always check your bags for tiny pieces like this. Don't do what I've done and thrown out some bags and not realizing there were some tiny little bits in there that, you know, these things still create you some nice inlay material, ring stones. You know, that's pretty small. That's probably 8mm by 4mm, but it's got some colour. Never waste opal. So here, that actually looks fairly matrixy to me. Not been like much of a treat yet. This may be some Andamuka matrix here. It could be meant to be. I'm not 100% certain. I'm sure somebody in the comments will let us know. Beautiful colours though. That is that sort of meant to be sandstone. There's some definite colour in there. Again, need to just come down from the top there and expose the opal, see what there is. Nice thin but stable bar through that. Again, probably more meant to be here. Not a huge amount of colour in that. I mean, there's definitely some colour down there. Can I get the... Well, the iPhone decided it wants to... No. Oh, it's not too so bad there. Yeah, you can see some colour there in that bar. Very nice. A tiny little piece here. Ton of colour, little pointer. And the last piece here. Not a huge amount of colour in there. I mean, you can definitely see there is some greens and blues in there. Again, investigate. You'll find in the auctions that as you buy things, you know, especially people like Shane, as those auction bids go up, they throw in more stones. So, you know, it's typical to see that, you know, if a little parcel's gone to say $50, you know, another stone goes in. Now, those stones, you know, you're never quite, you know, until they go in, you're never obviously sure what you're going to get. I mean, I've certainly noticed with Shane, they never disappoint. You know, if you're at 45, go to 50. That extra stone is going to be worth way more than $5. And it's always worth doing that. And again, another stone goes in at 100 often. So, you know, these parcels, as they're bid up, you know, get bigger, so, which is great. You know, but you do end up getting a few bits and pieces. You know, I say I mainly buy Boulder. I don't do a huge amount with Minterby and, Lightning Ridge and Cuba at the minute. But I'm building up a nice collection from these sort of extra little bits and pieces, that people like Shane throw in. So it's always good to have a little sweetness like that, and it keeps the bids going, gets the bids higher. But also the packages are worth more. So, everybody wins. Right, let's look at the next parcel. Okay, we're going to look at parcel number 7 now. So you can see here, this parcel's got 3 chunks of Boulder in it. So get those out, get the water and have a look at what we've got. Okay, let's take a look at this first piece. So a little bit more light, starting to get a bit dark here, and now see, gets a little bit more light with the gem torch on it. You can see that there's a sort of ring around the nut here in the middle of this piece. It's got all colours in it. Not much on the back, so I think this is your face here. Again, is there more underneath? Best to often find out from coming down on the back here and creating the back of the piece first there. So here's another piece. Again, we're getting lines of greens and blues through here. Camera really does not do Opal justice. These are really electric green. Really sort of like bounces out at you. Some of those colours there. Even up here, there's little bits of colour coming through. So, again, probable face is this one, but it's definitely Opal all the way through that one. Now let's look at the last piece here. Again, loads more electric greens. In this one, some golds, even some pink up here as well. Beautiful. Look at the pattern of that. And cut up there, square off. Beautiful pendant. Another piece here. Might not have much. Could create just a nice stone pendant. Again, I mentioned about doublets earlier. This is the type of material, once you cut that off, don't waste it. You could use this for doublet backing. Put that Andamuka matrix on top of this, and then cut that. This extremely dense, no light gets through this stuff, so it'll make sure that backing is a great backing for doublets. So that's parcel 7. All right, here we go, parcel 8. Some interesting bits of Boulder in here. Let's see what we've got. You can already see the colour of that, how bright that is. I mean, it's a tiny little piece of Boulder, but my God, the colour's amazing. The different types of colours, obviously affect the value of these stones. But, with often, reds being probably the most expensive. Purely because that is the rarest colour that you get out of Australian opal. In a way, it's almost the opposite to Ethiopian opal, but where reds are everywhere and the greens and blues are a little bit more rare. So this is quite a sort of mixed bag here we've got. Bits and pieces here. I'll take a little bit of a look. Let's start obviously with the first piece we put in here. Tiny little pea of a Boulder opal, electric blues all over them. Again, sometimes these are really important because sometimes you'll get big pieces of Boulder and they're not always flat. They may have holes in them, naturally occurring holes. And sometimes, you know, these things just fit in those holes. Just, you know, they can get glued in there, and as you polish it up, and you know, it almost becomes part of the stone. You know, and they can create some wonderful jewelry that way. Again, beautiful bars through that of colour, blues and greens. Lovely little piece there. Sort of darker Boulder, the sort of very milky white, almost, you know, sort of Lightning Ridge or Cuba type white opal that runs through that, but you know, flecks of colour within it. See some pinks and greens in there. Really nice. And you can sometimes, this is, you know, basically a lot of these sort of nuts that come out of the ground, they have almost like a crystal centre, some of them, if you're really lucky. This is not high-grade crystal. High-grade crystal, you know, would have lots of colour in it, but it's, again, just an interesting piece there. Not quite sure what I'd do with that, but it is opal, and it will polish and create something hopefully amazing. A couple other things in here. Yeah, this is some treated andamuka. Beautiful stone, decent size, yeah, a couple of centimetres there. Yeah, still needs a little bit more work on it. Maybe a bit of dremeling work there. So can I get that to focus closer? Yeah, there's loads of colours in there. Again, some more treated. Look, I mean, look at the colour roll on that. Look at that. Again, very thin. You know, you might get some stones out of this end of it. That's a bit thicker, maybe 4mm here. This end, very thin, doublet type material. But look at the colour in that. It's amazing. This is treated, so you know, this is, the colour is naturally in that stone, but the treatment, you know, helps you see it better. Look at that, amazing rolling flash colour there. All the colours in the spectrum, greens, reds, golds, blues. It's all in that, teals, purples. That is a stunning piece. Right, next parcel. Right then, folks, parcel number 9. This is a single piece of Boulder opal. To say this is a chunky monkey would be an understatement. This thing itself must weigh 200 grams. This is huge. You can, again, like, look at the size of this in my hand. Massive. Yeah, typical Kuwait patterning here. Lots of colour. You can see all of that colour running as bars around here. Crystal in the centre there. Look at that. And you turn it over the other side, it's all there too. Yeah, this is absolutely huge. You know, you can see it coming through here. You know this is all the way through this piece of Boulder. You know, so yeah, the typical patterns here where you cut, you know you're going to get more colour. You're going to get, I mean, that's got to be almost 3 centimetres thick. You can probably cut that into 3 slices, and then you can probably get each layer at least 4 pendants from it. Tons of colour, tons of pattern, and an absolutely massive chunk of it. I mean, to be honest with you, just stick it there and it'll make an expensive, yeah, awesome paperweight. You know, having that on your shelf, you know, just polish that whole thing up. What a specimen that would make. Beautiful. Right, let's get to the last parcel now. It's a big one. Right then, parcel number 10. As I told you, it's a big one. I can't even get it all into the video here. It's huge. We're probably going to need a couple of goes in the bath with this one. Let's see what we've got again. It's all Boulder. to say, Boulder is mainly what I buy. Let's see what we get in here. Get this in, just say thank you to all for listening to this. This is the very first time I've ever done an unboxing video, let alone an Opal unboxing video. So hopefully you enjoyed it, found it informational. May have disagreed with me in many cases, so please feel free in the comments and have a chat about this stuff. I am in no means an expert with this stuff. I'm starting my journey out into this. Always learning new things every day, every rock. So please do feel free to have a chat in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. And we'll planning to do more of these, as I get these parcels in. But also do some videos, showing the journey of these rocks. How I cut them, and how the finished jewelry that they end up in. I'm going to stop. We're about halfway through the bag here. Let's start to go through some of this stuff here. This jumped right out at me. Look at the pads, the sort of the red ironstone here. You've got colour all around that nut there. Beautiful. Again, colour in the sides. Where do you go with this one? It's like suddenly all this colour jumps out of you at the side here, and you're like, well, that's more colour than that's on the face. Not through on that side, so it doesn't go all the way through. Is it worth taking, maybe a slice off the top here? Leave this sort of main part here as a pendant, but take a slice off the top here and then start to expose, that colour. There's blues, there's greens, there's reds, all sorts in that one. Here, a lot of purples, teals, blues, pinks. It's opal on the side there, some bits of pipe. This is slightly high. This now is sort of higher grade. It's not ultimate Boulder opal, but it's definitely high grade now. You see all the colour in it. Beautiful, beautiful pieces in here. These nuts. They have the sort of tribal patterning around them. Beautiful stuff there. And look at this one. A little bit of colour there. Not a huge amount in this one, but it's about finding the face. Not every pendant has to be, £500 plus. You need to, especially in the jewellery business, you need to have a combination of sort of pocket money type stones that you can just, if you're at a fair or you've got a stall at a market or something like that, you want to sell 10 or 20 of those a day. £10 a shot, probably leather, sort of band with it, and a nice pattern. And then you want the better ones that have these huge electric pieces of opal through them. Beautiful. Better patterning. You need to cater to all tastes. It's like the Eye of Sauron. Look at that. It's the way it sort of, these patterns in it. It's beautiful. See, it doesn't go all the way through there. So that's definitely your face there. That pattern is so good. Not a huge amount of colour, but maybe someone needs to come through the back and find some more, maybe. It could be in the middle of that stone, tons of colour. You just don't know. So that, you're already pretty sure that's going to be your face. You come down from the top. This is thick enough trim saw, straight down the middle. What's on the other side of this piece? That will dictate then, what is your front face. could be a double-sided one as well. I mean, if it's the same front and back, you know, double-sided pendants are, you know, great as well. It's interesting, yeah, some of this stuff here, it's almost like fossil. It could in fact be fossil. It could be some, you know, vegetation that's fossilized in here. It gives some of these patterns as well. A lot of blue in this piece. Beautiful. Look at that. Yeah, look, some electric green and stuff there. Beautiful. Look at that. Going right the way around that nut. That electric green and gold. Some yellow opal at the back there, so definitely stuff that goes all the way through. Really interesting patterning in there. You can often tell, yeah, when you get, it looks really messy here, but when you go that way around with it, that mess is pattern, just different little bits of pattern all over the place. From that side it doesn't look good, but start to come down on top, start to make slices through this, and you'll expose really beautiful patterns. Oh, a bit of a chunk, this one. Again, look at that. Yeah, all that patterning in there. Colour. Beautiful piece of rock. Right, that's the first half of that bag done. Let's get the rest in. Still more to come, last bag now. It's got 3 more pieces to come in. That's got 4 pieces. Right then, let's start to look at this. A lot of this part of the bag, you know, sort of good grade, but not great. You know, certainly not ultimate, but okay, pipe coming in here, coming out there. All sorts of bits of colour in there. That's a digging rock to find all of that colour. Beautiful. Here, you know, those gorgeous sort of aquamarines and blues. That's very much a, look at that, there's your flat there, trying to come across there. You can see it goes through quite deep into the rock there. This side has got some more as well. A lot you could do with that. Here you get the blues. There's a bar starting there. Take a bit of that top off, see what you can find. It's all got colour. Yeah, Shane produces some awesome rocks. So even the cheaper, lower grade stuff that he has, like this, amazing colours. And if you think this is good, wait till you see his really high grade ultimate boulder. That's coming in the next package from him. So we'll do an unboxing on that one as well. And some of that quality of that rock that's in the next package. Wow. Huge bit of pipe that's gone through there. More pipe, more blues, more purples, tons of colour. Colour everywhere. Oh, huge amount in that piece. Oh, look at that chunk pipe going right the way through that. I mean, the angle of that, it's probably coming out there. Look at that. They just glow. That sort of sandstone matrix. There may well be a ton of colour in there you just can't see. Stuff, you know, really needs to be treated. Find that out. Treating rock is not for everybody. There are people out there that will do it for you if you want as well. But you're obviously taking a risk. You can send your kilo of matrix to them. You might get nothing. You still got to pay for it, but you might get nothing. You might get some absolutely astonishing stuff too. Running out of room here. All these rocks in this parcel. Getting loads of blue pipe, greens. Come down, find that bar of blue. Yeah, you know it's going most of the way through that rock. Gorgeous. Oh, there's one hiding behind the back of the box there. That. The contrasting colours, just, you know, that's nature. What nature has done, it's amazing. Well, folks, that's the last piece of the evening. Thank you so much for your time. We'll do another one of these. I said we'll do some other videos where we follow the journey of some of these stones into jewellery. Big shout out to Shane and Carl at Wholesale Boulder Opal Direct. This amazing package from them. Go check them out on Facebook. They have some auctions a couple of times a week, sometimes 3 times a week. Even just pop along, say hello, just watch, learn. That's what I did. You know, to start off with, I didn't buy anything for months. Just watched, just started to understand the rocks. I mean, when I see these in the auction, I've got to that stage now where I'm not going to bid on these until I can see the stone that I can cut. You know, what would I do with this stone? You can see stones that you think, wow, that's amazing. It's really difficult to get a stone out of it. You know, so they end up sitting in your drawer and becoming specimens, and you never really do much with them, and you paid for them. So for me, sort of the jewelry making side of this, I want to see that stone. I want to know what I'm going to cut this into. And say you start working with this stuff pretty quickly, you get to know that and what to do with it. I mentioned about, you know, as you see here, this has got like a natural inclusion there and there at the top there as well. You know, you can put some extra bits of almost like inlay opal there in your jewellery. I mean, here all the colour is around this nut. So this is what we've got to expose here. Got to come down with a Dremel at the top here and really expose that layer. You've got every colour, there's full spectrum in there. So you've got to expose all of that and get that out. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.